Wasn't plugged in. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was thinking about the way the gold has been acting. Oh, let me start over again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I didn't realize it wasn't plugged in. No sound. Oh, sorry about that, George. Sorry about that, Janos. Crazy weekends, I guess. Who was it? A holiday? I can't remember now. Anyway, let's go back to the. I was talking about the gold. It's really caught my eye. They're breaking out, and at the same time, you can see the stock indices breaking out. They seem to be trying to lift them, and that's what we're really starting to see here, which is interesting. I didn't. I had the NQs up on the other one too. Let me just do that again. Go back to it because I was talking about gold and the NQs, how they had jumped into the daily buy on Friday, and we were talking about that yesterday. And then let's get back to the gold again. I'll start over again about gold. So what we're seeing here is we're starting to see some actual, I guess, end of the year, beginning of the year buying, that classic dollar cost average that goes on. And so, and at the same time, we're seeing they're selling the currencies. We haven't gotten to the dollar index yet. Let's just take a quick look at the dollar index. Let's do that on J4X first, right there. No, that's copper. Dollar index, right there. And the dollar index is getting beat up a little bit in here today. Are they reflecting it? I don't think they are. I think they're reflecting it more on the currencies. Let's just go over to here again and check out the dollar index down at the very bottom. There it is, right there. And then there's Friday. And the dollar is lifting. The dollar index is lifting up, and the currency pairs are getting knocked down, which is a little of a surprise because I thought, interest rates. Yo, Robin, everything go out right? Good. The thing is that the interest rates and the stock market, they gapped it last night. That's the last thing I didn't show yet. Where's it at? Right there. There we go. They gapped it up. This is last night. So there's the Friday close. And there's a gap up. I mean, they just ripped that thing. Let's see if we can widen this a little bit more. But you can see the type of action we're seeing here today is we're getting, two battles going on, longs against shorts. And you can see this big gap. Then they broke it down, sold it for a couple hours. And before you know it, going into the European market, they started lifting it up again and, getting it going, I guess you could say, on the upside. And now they've tried to sell it. Also, at the same time, I was looking at the NQs. We talked about the NQs yesterday. And the NQs, basically, here's the daily index on it. And what we're seeing here this morning, and we're deviating a little bit from the normal, just right from the dollar index and going from there. But we're seeing higher lows with some higher highs. There's the higher highs, there's the higher lows, and it's trying to lift again today. So we're really feeling that hunger. Actually, it's not hungry. What do you call it? Conviction. That conviction of putting some money into the market. And they're doing it. And then you can see the sellers slide in right here. You can see the sellers slide in. This is just a, where's it at? Let me get to it again. Right there. No, right there. There it is. And you can see the sellers slide in, but the lows are higher. And that's just like that's the higher low. When we scrunch it up, and that's what's really going on now is we're starting to get that feel of, well, they need to be invested. Money needs to come in and put something in, they have to add some positions. So in other words, if they buy at the beginning of this year, which they're doing, that's what today is, the beginning of this year, then what happens, money managers, by the end of the year, if it's an up year, they're in position. That helps to add to their, earnings for the year. So that's what we're seeing here now is money is starting to become convinced that let's see if we can get a decent position put on. Then what they'll do is they'll buy weakness through, January, February, and March. They'll see what the economics looks like, the politics, so forth and so on, and then they'll go from there. Because most people are talking about, bad front year or bad back year. In other words, first quarter or two, or vice versa. They're talking about the back quarter. There's no real clarity. They don't call. I mean, let's put it this way: we just had a recession. The first 2 quarters of last year. Okay, they refused to call it a recession, but it's a recession. That's what the rules say. That's what it is. Okay, so that's where we're at the moment. We're at that point now where they have a tendency just not to talk. The media will just not talk the truth. So as far as the media is concerned, we weren't in a recession, but we were. So this year, are we going to see a stronger first quarter? There's talk of a stronger first quarter. Then the concern is the second or the third and fourth quarter. A two period again. Housing is down. In other words, they're not selling it, but they're just not buying it. So you're not seeing a price expansion in real estate, and that's usually a sign of strength also at the same time, not counting inflation. So that's why we're seeing this type of action. It's looking a little wild, and it's going to look a little wild because I think that there's more money to come in than there is money to go out at this point. Now that might change as the weeks and days and weeks and months go on, but we'll see. The math will tell us. So now let's go back to the currencies, and we'll look at the dollar index, and they're at the same time, the interest rates. There's the 10-year. Remember, when this goes up, interest rates are dropping. So what they're doing is they're selling pairs and buying. Let's go over to that. They're selling the euro. They're selling there's the euro right there. They're smacking it down. Same thing with I guess cable was picking up on it even earlier than we realize now. It pushed it into the sell, then it went into the buy. I guess like right here for a day or two. Excuse me. We'll have to go do tea in a few seconds here, but let's put that in there. Where's the buy? Right there. There's the buy. So there's the buy, and now they've thrown it right back into the sell today. That's what that action is doing, and we're going to put that right there for the time being, just to represent, because it's not officially closed yet. So. And then I would expect you're going to see buying on weakness when it comes to the stock indices. Now, it might take 2 hours, or it might take 3 hours or something like that. But I think there'll be more buyers by the end of the day. And that's because we're in the daily buy, and it's not exploding up. We're not seeing this massive move. That the Dow was up maybe 300 plus points. Now it's up only 150 points. I think that smart money, okay, when it's not the Federal Reserve, smart money lets markets back and fill. They allow them to, go down so they can try to buy it cheaper. Whereas when it's the Federal Reserve, they're a sledgehammer. Everything looks like a nail. They're a hammer, and the market is a nail, and everything they see is a nail, and so what they do is they buy, and then they buy again, and they cannonball up, which is really odd. But then when you have that much money, you can cannonball up. When you have more money, than anybody else, and you can play the longest. That's the Federal Reserve. So you see them cannonballing, and that's how we could tell back in 2009, 2008. That the Fed was in there buying, and everybody was telling me I need to wear tinfoil on my head. Now we all know that the Federal Reserve is in there buying all the time, or lending money overnight to players who will buy, and they give them $500 million or $1 billion for free, and the markets are up from it over the years. And so that's when you can tell that it's not the funds. The funds will work at buying lower. The central banks will buy and buy and buy and not think about it twice. They'll just keep on buying. So, all right, and like I said, there's the cable. Let's see what the Swiss is doing this morning. Swiss and the yen yesterday showed that action of adjusting. Now today they're back in total sync with the euro and the cable again. They're playing with the buy here with no problem. Trying to get through the zero line, even on the weekly as we speak. And so you can see that pressure coming in, which is kind of surprising. They're buying dollars, and reason why? More than likely, foreign investors are coming in, so they need dollars to buy the stocks. So worldwide investors are stepping up and buying stocks. They're buying equities, and they're buying in the United States. And so they need to buy some dollars and sell some of their own currency. Not a lot. I'm sure that they'll be taking, trading positions. But at this point, it looks very, let me describe it this way. It looks very conservative. In other words, the strategy that's going on right now looks very conservative, which again says, hey, this is actual private money. These are the funds, the hedge funds, the mutual funds, the retirement funds, acting responsible on the way they purchase. As I take another sip of tea, because believe me, when the Federal Reserve gets involved in the market, there is no responsibility. They're the sledgehammer. They are the hammer, and everything looks like a nail, and they just cannonball in the reverse, in the up direction, and just leave it at that. Because again, they have the amount of equity that they can do that. All right, from there's the yen. See, the yen is lifting up too, just like the others. In other words, it's moving in the same rhythm now again with the cable and the euro. And you can see this weekly is not lifting up as much. Now let me just go back over to, we saw where the cable, is. And it looks like it was changed. So is it in a sell? Let me just take a look at that. I thought it was in a sell on Friday. Yeah, that is a minus. It is a minus. Is it a minus? Plot 1 is a minus. Yeah, it's minus 0.00062. And you can see the green is a minus. Minus 0.00124. So it is in a sell. And the line needs to be moved up like that. There we are. There we go. That's better. So it's in the sell. And then let me just take a quick look at the euro. I doubt it's very close. How about that? Okay, yeah, so it's very close to the zero line. Playing around with it. We'll see how that plays out. I think the currencies in many ways, we lost the picture. I think the currencies in many ways is kind of always the leader when we come to global markets. So I've noticed that when I was young, we always saw the volatility expand in options. A day or two later from the currency option expansion in volatility. And so we always think of the currencies as kind of like the leader in a lot of action. Hey, Insanely, how you doing? Greetings with peaceful greeting. I like that. That's great. How is everybody? I'm doing good. I think everybody else is starting to do good. Robin sounds like he's getting better. Robin's had a problem with one of his legs. He's had some pinched nerve. Janos is home. He's not out and about gallivanting. Euro, am I waiting for 102? Oh, you think it's going to go back down to almost par again? I don't know. That's a good question. We've been in that long weekly buy for the last 2 months. You see this since October. We went into the weekly buy, and it climbed from the 96, 95 area all the way up to the, the 107 area, basically? Is that not high there is 107 and change. That's a 107 and change. A lot of the highs here are 107s and 106s. 102 could, there's the 102. It could get there. And if we get into a daily sell and this thing climbs into the weekly sell, you could at least expect a week of weakness. That's at least in my head, I would expect. So, yeah, there's a good potential there for the 102 again. Yeah. That's right. I think, were you playing the short side? You were trying to play the short side a couple times, and I remember saying to you that, it looks like it wants to break down, but it's not breaking down. That was what the problem was. It's the math kept on turning it back up again. Now the math is trying to break it down. And we'll see. And you can see some of this distance too. It went into the buy here. It kept it for like 6-7 days. It went into the sell here. It went sideways down for about 6-7 days. We went into the buy here. Same thing at the end of the year. So maybe with a little luck, we get a sell. We get 6 or 7 days on the downside for you. We'll see. Especially if you get the weekly underneath tomorrow or the next day. We see a little bit more weakness. It's going to take a little work for this to get underneath. But what was interesting is looking at the cable. The cable's doing it. It closed in the weekly sell. You can see the Swiss right here trying to get into the buy. That's representing that weakness again. Remember, when the cable, when the Swiss goes up, it's losing against the dollar. But when we look at the euro dollar pairs trade or the British pound dollar pairs trade, it's the reverse. They're going physically down and gaining against the dollar. So yeah, I think you got a shot at it. We'll see. Um, let's see what else. I would say this. It'll probably be the decision maker in a sense, or at least it'll be giving us the heads up. We'll have a much better feel for it. Um, if the dollar stays firm for the next couple of days and the stock markets stay firm for the next couple of days, then it'll tell us that they're probably the next turn, real turn in the euro will be a good one. So in other words, if they're down for a couple of days and then they go back up again and they don't get into the weekly sell and then they go into a daily sell again, or they get into a daily buy and then go into a daily sell a second time over this next 7-8 days, and the weekly gets right underneath the zero line, starts working the south side of it, could be an interesting short trade. Yeah, I could see that. I sold '07, okay, and resold again on the 30th at 107.02. Okay, so now you're coming in short on the euro, so this is good then. So the pressure on it that we're seeing is going to be in your favor. That's good. And where are we at now? We're in the 106s or 105s? I think 106s, right? 105.43. So you're doing fine. All is good. Yeah, it looks it. It could break. I could see it breaking down to the 102s. I could see them challenging this. Because this is where this is the like the all-time lows here, and then it kind of hesitated, and then climbed up through that. And what was that? That was 1009. Okay, so it wasn't even 101. But then when they took it up out through that, and then came in here, that became the support, the 102 area. And there's a 103. That's 102.95. So I could see that. I could see this trying to play this low and then possibly playing this low. I could see the 102s. Yeah, that's a good possibility. Yeah, I would say that was interesting as we referred to that yesterday too, the same way. We thought the cable looked heavy, and everybody else was looking fine. Now the cable's obviously leading everybody. Maybe that's a perfect example. You know how they say that England, Great Britain is really invested in the United States. They're like the second biggest, current stock market investor in the in other words, the number one investor in the United States is Great Britain. So for it to trade heavy the last couple of weeks and acting sloppy and down, that makes sense. And then going into the weekly sell on Friday, and then here we are, they're smashing all of it and buying the stocks. Yeah, so that I agree. Yeah, it had that heavy look to it. And now that we're seeing this big gap up in the stock market and the slam down in the euro, it's even more confirming. It's making it very clear that is the pathway. So we'll see how, like I said, we'll see how the stock market goes by the end of the day. I think it'll be higher than where it's at now. We'll see. We'll see if it is or not. The cryptos are kind of flat, a little surprising there. Usually the cryptos are leading the market, but then the Bitcoin climbed into the buy. I think it was on Friday. Let's go over to that. Right there's Bitcoin. Yeah, it climbed into the buy yesterday. It's pretty much flat today, but still firm. You can see the weekly's trying to curve a little bit, where this is the third full week in a buy, and this is starting the fourth week now in a buy. So if they just play sideways with this, knock the currencies down, stock markets should be lifting, and that will open your doorway for a nice setup for that 102-ish area. I like that. Makes sense to me. And if it didn't, I wouldn't be saying it. I would not try to lead you on just to placate you. We talk real numbers here all the time. So yeah, I see the same thing you've been sensing for a while, that they want to put some pressure on it. Let's see, where are we at from there? From the yen? Last thing we saw was the yen. So, or I guess that's where I left off, at the yen here. And the yen is kind of calm out of it all. I guess what we do is we slide over to the Turkish lira and see what they're doing with that. That went out pretty hard and harsh over the holiday season, and hit the 20ish area, and you can see it's joining in. It's gaining against the dollar, which is kind of curious in its own right. In other words, normally you would think it'd be like the rest of the European currencies, falling. Instead, it's actually gaining against the dollar, gaining against the euro as we speak. So the pressure is more on the euro, I would imagine, on this than it is. I imagine if we look at Turkish lira dollar, that could be almost unchanged. I bet it is. Right there. Yeah. Matter of fact, it's not only unchanged, it's up for the day. Exactly. That would make sense. So the reason why the Turkish lira is gaining against the euro is because they're selling the Turkish lira. I mean, everybody is. So the pressure is on that. All right, from there. Then we drift over to the Canadian. See what the Canadian is up to. Right there. And there's the Canadian. They're ripping that towards up. And that's usually a sign of weak oil. And I know we saw oil earlier. I saw oil down or flat, something like that. Let's find it. Right there. There's the front month. It's just down a little bit, and it's playing with the weekly sell there. And we'll do this over on J4X too. Let's go take a look at Brent just to get a flavor of the energy market. Where's Brent? Right there at the top. So it's got some pressure on it. And let's go back to the Hinkies at the same time. And the Hinkies, it's still green, but the bar itself is heading south at the moment. And you can see that. It's a red down bar. And you can see the green line is underneath. You can see that. It's underneath the dash line. And they parked it decently out, price-wise. But it is pressing down. Okay. Now, from there, we go over to the South African Rand. We'll put gold up there, like we started off with today. Because I can see, and silver's doing the same thing. Silver is lifting also very nicely. We're seeing buying in both of them. And where are you at gold? There you are. And as you can see, gold is moving up, and obviously we are interpreting that as, let's do this. I'm just going to throw gold up there real quick. Right there. So it's the back month is in the 40s, 1840.4. And then let's go check out the South African Rand. There's the South African Rand. And that's acting very odd. So I guess we're still stuck in that politic triangle. And it's trying to lift up, which is not natural. Usually that thing is moving down. So this triangle is becoming even more clear and more clear of a problem in the politics. I guess they have not resolved that $500,000 fine in the president's office in his sofa, hidden underneath the cushions, no less. Talk about making a joke and it being real. And so you can see there. But look at the weekly. That's, you know what? Look at our math on the weekly when it comes to the South African Rand. It's doing the right thing. It's moving down. So, the money, the weekly trend is telling us that their gold is going to be firmer. A sip of the tea. Yes, that's what that's trying to tell us right there. Matter of fact, we can put the little circly thing in there. It is trying to tell us that gold will be firm. It'll have an upwardly trend. Right there. There we go. And that's what that's all about. Now, this politics triangle is the problem with the president. They want the president to resign, or at least someone wanted the president to resign. And they thought that it was going to happen. That's why it did those big spikes back in here where we have the box. They had found 520,000. I have no idea why it's 20. Why they can't round out numbers, but $520,000 in cash, in dollars, underneath a cushion in his office. What a joke! Oh my God! It's like all you can do is laugh at things like that. And then they thought he was going to resign, and the market took the ran up, pretty aggressively that day or that day and a half, and then he came out and said, "I'm not resigning," and then it fell back down again, and it played the trading range, and then we saw the triangle developing, and we call it the politics triangle at this point, because it's not really reflecting everything. Let's see. Let's go where we go from there. Oh no, let's move that over. There we are. So from there, the South African Rand, we drift over to the Mexican peso. Right there, and there's the peso. Put it up over here. Peso, right there. There's the peso. It's kind of sitting at the bottom end of the range. It's played more of it. I'd imagine once they vote in the Speaker of the House, then we'll see that. I would think we'll see Mexican peso move up even more, especially with it in the weekly buy from last week and underneath, just at the bottom end of the range. This 3-year range here, or 2.5-year range. Is there anything else to be said? It seems to really read American politics well. We've noticed that. We've seen some action like this. This spike here was the loss 2 days before that came before the election for the special election in Georgia. So it does seem to read American politics very well. The Mexican peso. Let's see. Insanely says 500. Was that more believable for plot? Yeah, I know. And he says 520,000 is nothing for people at that level. Yeah, I know. I'm still trying to figure out why they couldn't just give him $500,000. What's the 20,000 for? The driver? I don't know. What's the 20,000 for? The deliverer? I have no idea. But anyway, that's where it's at the moment with the South African Rand. And again, the gold market, the metals market, follows the South African Rand very well. So we're a little disappointed that we have some politics interfering in the whole process there. We really would be happy if we saw a clean market without the politics, but you can't get that because remember, politics is the thing that increases taxes, decreases taxes, puts on tariffs, or changes tax law. It's just. They are, some people like to walk around going, I don't want to hear about politics when I look at the market. It's like, well, guess what? You don't have a choice. They're the ones that create taxes, lower taxes, raise taxes. They change tax laws. And when you're a company and you're making $3 billion and they increase your taxes, now you're only making 2.7, or you got to raise your prices and it hurts your sales. So you don't have much of a choice. Unfortunately, that they are more influential than we want them to be when it comes to commerce. We would love to see that change. Believe me, I would love to see that change. All right, so that does it with the currencies. If anybody would like to see any other currency, just give a yell and we'll go after it. And from there, we're going to move over to the metals market. We'll check out silver this morning, see what that's doing. I saw it up in the 50s last I saw. There it is right there. 24.51. The high today is 24.77. It's 3 days in a buy and a couple months in a weekly buy. So ever since the 19 area? 18, there's a low as 19, is that 19 or 18? It's 1907 right there. That's 19, that's 8, is that it? That's a 19 also. 1905. So, we've gone about $5 since we've moved into that weekly buy. So it's been a very, very interesting move, over $5 now. Let's see what else we got going on with the metals. Let's take a look at copper. Copper, I think, went into a sell last week. That caught my eye. Yeah, it's playing with the weekly sell now. It's been in the daily sell for a couple of days. Not going anywhere. I'd imagine that there is some type of Chinese thing going on right now. That keeps copper steady, but obviously the conviction to buy it at the moment is not there. There is a lot of people who been wishing for China to open their markets thinking that they actually are an engine when they're not an engine whatsoever. And so that's probably the confusion that's going on right now, is that they keep on thinking that China adds to the world economy. And I don't really see that. I see them selling things to the world economy, but I don't see them reaching in and buying things. To add to the world economy, you really need buyers and producers. They are a producer, but they're not buyers. So it's a real confusion, but they're really hoping, so the people who are big China fans think that if they open the economy now away from COVID, that will add to world growth. I say I don't see how that works myself. I've never seen that really working. I've seen us, the U.S., spending $400 billion there, and that gave them money to spend. But they're not exactly like a natural producer per se. They produce product only through purchases from outsiders, and usually you need buyers from China to perk up the world economy. I just don't see that happening, but we'll see. Hope is eternal. You never know. It could happen. But what they really need is they need American economy to get going so they can plow the extra 150 or 200 billion dollars into it. That's what they really need, and no one will say that out loud besides myself and a few others. And that's what the problem really comes down to. All right, no growing American economy, no growing China. Like I always call them, they are the angry colony. So the angry American colony. So that's what we're really seeing there. Oh, we lost the picture again. Let's fix that again. There it is. There we go. So from the copper, let's drift over to the platinum, because I'm sure that's a couple weeks now in a buy. There it is right there, the Jan Platinum, and we're going to start moving that into, I think it's April Platinum. We'll probably start moving that this week into the April Platinum, but you can see here it's tried to touch the, what's the high there now? 1,092.9, almost 93, almost touched the 1100 area. And so we've been in a daily buy since back in here. You can see that. Let's see, where is it at? Right there. Is that it? I think that's it. Let me put the line in. That'll help out better. Yeah, that's it right there. And we're in the second week of the weekly buy right there with no problem. And it's launching itself well. So, that's also a very good sign for, silver and gold. Seeing that strength in the platinum contract itself. And then from there we slide over to the energy sector. And there's that front month there. Let's put right there, let's put in the oil contract. We'll go back to Brent again. There's Brent. That's moving up. That's cool. It was in the 84s the last time we looked at it, about 15 minutes ago. So they're lifting it up a little bit. We still got this weakness in the front month of February, which we'll be following for another 2 weeks. But at the same time, the back month of April, you can see the back month of April doing the same daily, but the weekly is the same, pressing down. But you can see the daily is holding up there, and whereas the front month contract right there is right on the edge with a green and a red. And it's only 17 ticks away, 18 ticks away, 17 ticks, 16 ticks, 15 ticks from the minus spot as we see it ticking away right there. So, we'll keep an eye on that. But we really think that, we've had some good weather now for the last 4 or 5 days here. So in the Northeast is almost a little more than 30%, almost 30% of the U.S. population. So, that with warmer weather after that Arctic blast that gave us flash freezing, which was really wild, and we'd seen 4 feet of snow in a couple hours, and then we saw 7 feet of snow in a couple hours. So, it's things are warming up a little bit. From the minuses, we are now in 18, 19 Celsius, so we're actually nice and warm. So. All right, and then, obviously energies, the petrochemicals are the things that warm people, keep people alive. And then you can see from here, there's natural gas. Natural gas is interpreting that whole action. Look at it. We are paying almost, it's at $4 almost a cubic foot. Now, I have no idea. Giannis, do you know at all what they're trading the natural gas in Europe? But what we do is we always go over to natural gas here. Where's it at? Right there. There's the natural gas in the United States. And then what we do is we also look at the natural gas company down in Spain. I think that's our natural gas. Yeah, so you can see it's at $4.06. Trying to get the 7-cent offer. So it's very, very low. And then we go over to Spain, and we look at the natural gas in Spain company. That's not it. What is that? DX Euro. Oh, that's the DAX. Okay. DAX is, look at the size of the DAX chart. They're lifting it up like they were doing yesterday, and they're stepping up for it. We were talking about that. But let's find there it is, the natural gas. Good, we're in the low 24s now. So the pressure is on. Let's put the Hinky Ashki back on. Where's the Hinky at? Restore? Reset? Let's see, Hinky Ashki. Show. There it is. You can see all that slow grinding down on the daily for weeks now. Just like we have right here. You can see with the same situation with the actual natural gas itself. So it follows the Spanish energy company follows the market very well. It's a good insight to what's going on in Europe. And then from there, let's see, there's that. And here in the States, heating oil. I can show you heating oil, which in the Northeast is a big product for heating houses. Let's see. We'll show you the back month. Well, we'll show you the front month. It expires in 2 weeks. So there it is right there. You can see heating oil is trying to drop back down a little bit. It's playing with the weekly sell. The pressure is on. It only has 2 weeks of life in its contract, I believe, something like that. Now we can take a look at the next month out. Let's see if there's much of a diversion from it. I imagine so. There is the March contract. And the March contract is doing the same thing. Okay, and playing with the same way. So it's up in the $3 area. And you can see it had dropped all the way down at the beginning of December, down into the 270s area. Not that far off, 50 cents, something like that. Let's see if we can look at back months. It's been hanging around the $3 area for a long while now. There's all last summer, trading at $3.60, then trading at $3, in that range. So, and that is pretty much the view we take and look at with the energy complex. So from there, we dance our way over to the stock indices. And there is the S&P 500. It is trying to hold up. It gapped up right there. You can see that. You can see it's playing with the daily buys still, but we're in that weekly sell with no problem whatsoever. So this could be more, the action we're seeing could be very short-lived, and it could be just literally a dead cat bounce. But I still think that it'll try to find buyers by the end of the day. From there, you can see the Tech 100, which is the worst performing index in the United States over the whole last year, down to almost 34%. You see it's still trying to lift up. It closed in a daily buy on Friday. It's higher still today. And the weekly needs to do a lot of work to get it into the plus. So we'll keep an eye on all that. And then we go to the S&P 500. Let's put that on there. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, which was only down 8% for the year, whereas the S&Ps were down almost 19%, and the Nasdaq 100 was almost down 34%. So big difference there. And then you can see there's Bitcoin trying to lift, but here is the stock of the March contract. You can see it's trying to stay inside this little triangle that it's developed on the upside, an uprising triangle, and you can see it's pushing into the daily buy, but it is also feeling the pain of the weekly trend, and that is that bigger money is not coming in yet. All it is just a dead cat bounce on all of them. I just think the dead cat bounce might get a little bit more steam. We'll see, but that's what we're really seeing. And if they close them out here, a little plus more today than minus, then there's a good chance that we might see some action again tomorrow the same way, which will be then the middle of the week. Then we'll see how they play out the end of the week. That first week of January, everybody likes to watch. All right, from there, we go over to the Russell, which is the most speculative of all the products. We can get rid of this. Oh, no, I don't think we did the NQ. Yeah, we did the NQs. Yes. Let's do this. Let's go to the, where is it at? Right there. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000. And there is the Russell 2000 right there. There we are. And you can see that's been in a daily buy for 2 days. The weekly looks like the rest of them. They're not really buying it. You can see that they took it up to 1900 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now, on the 13th. And when we scrunch it up so you can see the longer term of it, right there, you can see, let's see, where's that scrunchy thing again? You can see it's been bouncing since September, basically around the 19 down to the 16 and a half, and then making a higher low and making higher highs out of this whole move here. And then it took out that high there of August, and you can see here it took that out right there. It traded as high as 1827, and that is 1816 or something like that. 1825, I'm sorry, 1825. No, 1828, and the high there was 1827. So it didn't take out that high, and that didn't take the high out either. So this high needs to be taken out for it to give us any feeling that we're going to get more than just a light bounce here, a dead cat bounce. And the weekly is telling us constantly in all 4 stock indices that the buyers are just not there yet. They haven't started. Then when we do go and look at Bitcoin, we can see the Bitcoin is actually flirting after 3 weeks in a buy. Where is it at? After 3 weeks in a buy right there. It's curving over, and it's trapped in between the manifold, getting close to the 0 line. And usually the crypto seems to lead the stock market. So what we'll do is we'll see how they trade it. You can see it's in the daily buy for a second day and not letting go. Like I said, I kind of think we will see some strength later on in the day. It just has that, it doesn't feel like it's trading heavy. It's trying to trade heavy, though. And I know that seems like a very odd statement. And what that means basically when it's trading heavy or trading light means that when it goes down, they break bids, and means that the sellers start to dominate. And then when it's trading light, it means that they're lifting the offers, and the lows are higher. And that's how we kind of view. It's a combination of volume and pattern that kind of defines something trading heavy. In other words, just when it tries to bounce, it doesn't lift enough. Oh, it's trading heavy. In other words, it's not taking out the previous high of 2 hours ago or 10 minutes ago or stuff like that. And that's how traders will say, oh, it's trading heavy. It means that it looks like it wants to go down more and up. I would say at this point, I think the market is trying to trade light. It has that feel to it. If it was trading at 200 right now on the Dow, I would be saying, yeah, it's really trading light, but it's down like 130. It's up 130 instead. So, and the weekly is warning us that they don't have the full conviction yet of being long or buying. They're just nibbling. Now, if they squeeze out the shorts to a point where the highs, the lows become higher and higher. So in other words, they're not challenging previous lows, and they keep on stopping and going higher. Then the light will start to reflect, and you might see even more money come in, thinking, well, I better buy something right now. I just got to put some money in, as they would call it, putting money to work. What they try to do is they say, oh, I'm going to put some money to work. And what that really means is they're building a position in something or a group of somethings. In other words, companies that they feel that will be, more profitable over the next 3 to 6 months, that type of thing. And so right now, I'm not really seeing that money being put to work, but I can say I think the market is trading light, not heavy. But it's light, but not light enough yet to say, okay, buy it and not worry about it, because we're in a weekly sell. So, it's just short-term trading at this point. Nothing more than that. All right, I think I've explained that. Does that make sense to anybody? I hope it does. All right, from there, let's see, where are we at? We're looking at the stock indices, right? And then we just finished Bitcoin. So from there, we could take a look at some of the individual stocks that make up the indices and see if we can see something going on inside of that. And that we did that yesterday too. We went to try to look and see how the stocks ended the year. Like an Apple, an Amazon, a Google, a Tesla. In other words, look and see. What was it? Facebook, Meta, which was pretty much as bad or worse than the Tesla. The Tesla is one of the worst beaten stocks for the year in that sector. In the technology side. And something like an Apple, which has been beat up, and it's down I think it's under 30% for the year. So we can go check that out. All right, open Sesame. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. And that's Meta. We looked at Meta yesterday, and you can see it's been in a daily buy for going into 2 weeks now. And the weekly has been in a buy. So this has been trying to lift for the last couple weeks. Very impressive. Matter of fact, this is the 6th week? Yeah, 6th week in a buy. Hasn't really gone too far. It started off in the 108s from that weekly buy, and we are now, I guess the high, that could be the high right there. What's that? That's 124.80, 67 or 87? Is it 67? And then this one here is 123 and change. That one is 124.14. This one is 123.31. And today it's up as high as 121.82. 83, I guess that's what it is right there. So it's been showing some strength. They are reaching up for this stuff. We've talked about that. And then from there we look at the grand poobah of it all, I guess you could say, and that would be the Apple. Where's the dots on the Apple? Let's put the dots in there. I guess, you know what? Let's do this. Cancel. I got the chart here. There it is. There's the Apple chart. And so there's the Apple chart. And you can see it's tried to climb on Friday into it, but today they're doing it. They're showing the strength, and the weekly is trying to turn up. So we're seeing some buying. When we go and look at the year in the Apple, you're looking at up in the 170s. That was what? That was in August. You see the same thing in April of this year, or last year now. It was up to 178. And in January of that year, of last year, it started off on the first and second day of the year up at 182 and change, trading in the 182s. So that felt a lot of pain this year, trading down into the 130s from 182. So that's that, and let's see. All right, insanely. Catch you later. Good talking. So you can see that the tech companies are trying to lift up. Now let's go over to Google, and there's Google right there, doing somewhat of the same action. Still in a weekly sell like Apple, and trading towards its lows more than its highs, but it looks like it might be a higher low, but we'll only know over the next couple of days and weeks. But at least the daily has been in a buy for a few days here now, so this is pretty good. Now we just need the weekly to turn up. Much better than the Apple one is doing. Let's put it that way. And then from there, we go over to Amazon. Oh, we don't have the dots in there on Amazon. Let's fix that too. There it is. Let's go like this. Cancel. And go like that. And we want to indicator. And add. And down. Okay. And add again. Up. Okay. Let's make the bars a little bit, just make it healthier looking. So you can see the thing. There we are. There we go. So you can see here, let's scroll it over a little bit. You can see here, let's fix those bars too. Style it is. Just make it thickerish. There we are. There we go. And so you can see here, second day in a daily buy. This is Amazon, but we've got a lot of work to do. Let's see, do we have this right thing there? Yeah, it is right there. So when it comes to the weekly, though, it's just like Tesla. It's been getting beat up for a long while. Where'd it go into the sell? Oh my God, it was all the way back to here. So let's put that in. So we've been in a weekly sell since the 120-ish area, 130-ish area, something like that. That's 40, right? No, that's 30. Okay, so 125, 130 area. And it's traded all the way down to, in that weekly sell, got down as low as 88? 85, I think. Is that 85? Looks like 86. 86 low. And then I guess they took that out right there. So that's even worse. So there's an 81 low. What is that? That is a 82 low. That is a 81.65 low. So it's really been pressured very aggressively, losing 50% of its value almost. They've really pressed that down too. Again, the techs really carry the marketplace. When the techs are lifting, the rest of the marketplace usually seems relatively strong, and vice versa. When not, they find a way to go down. So let's just take a look at it on J4X here. There's the S&P 500. You see it's trying to lift up nicely today on a daily. 2 days in a row now, and you can see the green line through. We'll take a look at the Tech 100. Where's the Tech 100? Right there. It's trying to do the same thing, showing lot. It looks even stronger in many ways. And like I said, last one, Tesla. Now Tesla lifted, but I'm really surprised. I didn't realize how bad Amazon was too. There's Tesla. Let's look at it over here instead, because it has the dots. And there's Tesla. And so it's a second day in a buy. Let's widen that out like that. But that weekly, look at that weekly. I mean, it's just as bad as the Amazon. They're both crushed. Where's that? That was back in the $300 area. And we've traded down to 108. So, it's been a real punishing. I think he's lending stock to Twitter or something like that, to finance that. All right, traders, if there's nothing else, I'm going to jump out of here. I guess that's what it comes down to. So, Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. All right, traders, have a safe and smart day. We will catch you on Wednesday, which is tomorrow now. The holidays have really given us a long vacation. So, all I have to say is, see you around, cowboys and cowgirls.